Not a book, but a blade. This isn't a book, it's a blade, sharpened by silence, handed to those willing to cut through their own illusions. Epictetus didn't write for comfort, he spoke to confront. No chapters, no polish, just impact. Line after line dropped like fire on minds that thought they were awake. This isn't theory, it's survival. For those tired of blaming, of begging, of bowing to what they can't control. These words don't teach, they test. They don't care how you feel, only how you stand. So take this slow. Let each sentence breathe, not in your head, but in your spine. Because once these truths hit, they don't leave. Some things are in your hands, most things are not. If you forget that, you suffer. If you remember it, you don't. That's the whole game. You don't control what happens, you control how you meet it, how you carry it, how you become through it. The Stoic doesn't fight for comfort, he fights for clarity. He draws the line, every day. What belongs to me, and what doesn't. Your thoughts, yours. Your judgments, yours. Your choices, your will, your discipline, all yours. Everything else, the storm, let it swirl. You're not the weather, you're the wall that faces it. Pain comes when you grab what doesn't belong to you. Outcomes, people's opinions, the future. Let it go, not because it doesn't matter, but because you've got a war to win, inside your own skin. Freedom doesn't come from control. It comes from understanding what's worth controlling. That's the blade. Use it. Death isn't later, it's now, it's always near. And the wise don't run from it, they walk with it. The coward hides from endings, the Stoic reads them, like signs, like scripture. He wakes up every day knowing it might be the last. And that's why he lives it clean, without delay, without drama, without regret. To fear death is to fear nature. And nature doesn't ask permission, so why beg for more days? If you waste the one you have, you don't own time, you're only renting it. And the lease has no warning, it ends when it ends. Exile, that too is just another form of loss. Not of self, but of place. And place isn't who you are. They can remove you from home, from country, from name, but they can't remove you from your reason. If you still think that comfort defines you, you've already lost. Because the true Stoic carries everything with him. Character, calm, discipline. He loses nothing that was ever truly his. Let them strip titles, let them erase your position, let them take the world. As long as you hold your mind, you've lost nothing. That's what death and exile teach, to keep only what can't be taken. So practice that. Today, let go before you're forced to. Die before death arrives. Lose it all in your mind. So when the world takes it, you're already free. They can praise you, they can mock you, but they can't change you unless you hand them the pen. And the Stoic never does. Because what matters is not what they call you, but what you choose to become. Character is not built in public, it's forged in silence, in decisions made when no one is watching, when no one claps, when no one will ever know. That's the weight you carry alone. And if you bend that weight for applause, for approval, for image, you've already given up the crown. The Stoic isn't liked by everyone, but he respects himself. Because he stays with the principle, not the performance. He doesn't chase impressions, he polishes his interior, like a blade no one sees but everyone feels. Because the truth is simple. No one can protect your character but you. It is the only thing that dies, only if you allow it. Everything else, money, title, body, followers, it comes and goes. But the man who keeps his character, when the world tempts him to trade it, that man is untouchable. So choose what you'll guard. Choose what you'll sell. And know this, the Stoic sells nothing. He leaves this life with less than he came with, except his self. Your mind is the last domain no one can enter, unless you leave the door open. And the Stoic? He guards that door like it's everything. Because it is. You can lose your name, your wealth, your body. But if you lose reason, you lose yourself. Reason is not just thinking, it's seeing, without blur, without panic, without the stories emotion tries to write for you. Most people don't think, they react. They obey whatever feeling yells the loudest. But the Stoic pauses. He steps back. He slows down the spin until clarity speaks. Not the first voice, not the loudest voice, but the true one. The one that doesn't beg, doesn't shout, just knows. That is reason. It's not noisy, it's steady, and it can't be shaken by insults, by loss, by pressure. But you have to train it, every day. Every hour, every breath. Guard what enters, guard what stays. Not every opinion deserves a seat, not every emotion deserves a mic. The Stoic builds a fortress not with walls, but with judgment. And in that stillness, when the world screams for a reaction, he answers with silence, because reason doesn't fight for attention. It just stands. You can take my freedom, but you can't touch my will unless I let you. That's what the Stoic understands, that the world can shake everything except the inner choice. The will is not loud. It doesn't scream, "Look at me." It just decides, quietly, firmly, unshaken. The weak man begs for outcomes. The strong man chooses direction, and then follows it, whether the wind agrees or not. Will is not about getting what you want. It's about staying with what's right when everything around you wants you to cave. It's easy to hold principles when they benefit you. It's different when they cost you. That's when the will reveals itself. It shows up when you're tired, when you've lost, when the crowd has turned, and you still walk the line. You told yourself you'd walk. That's power, not control over others, but mastery over the only thing that ever mattered, yourself. Epictetus had no fortune, no rank, no safety, but his will was a kingdom, uninvadable, unbreakable, undeniably his. And that's the model. Build something inside you that doesn't move when the world does. Let the will be your compass, your sword, your shelter. And when the storm comes, you won't even flinch. You don't control the cosmos, but you can align with it. The fool fights nature, the Stoic moves with it, not because he's weak, but because he's clear. You were not born to bend the world. You were born to bend yourself to what is right. There is order, even in the chaos. There is structure, even in the storm. And if you try to force your way through life's design, you'll break before it does. So the wise man watches, listens, and adapts, not to everything, but to truth. He doesn't curse the winter. He prepares for it. He doesn't demand the waves stop. He learns to walk through them. Because alignment is not surrender, it's intelligence. The river flows with or without you. The stars don't wait for your plans to align, so you let go of the ego, the illusion of control, and instead, you master yourself to move with what is larger. God, nature, the way, whatever you call it, it doesn't need your opinion, just your integrity. Live in tune with what does not shake, and you become just as still. That's the power of alignment. You stop resisting what is and start becoming who you were meant to be. When nothing can be taken, you're finally free. That's the test. Not how loud you speak, but how still you stay when everything falls. The Stoic doesn't seek control of the world. He seeks control of himself within it. He doesn't beg for easier days. He builds stronger thoughts. He doesn't run from discomfort. He turns it into a tool. Because the world is noisy, but you don't have to be. The world is broken, but you can remain whole. The final lesson of Epictetus is not about endurance. It's about identity. About holding on to the man inside when everything outside changes its face. Titles fade, bodies break, voices turn against you, but stillness can stay. You don't need the world to understand you. You just need to live in a way that doesn't betray your own mind. That's Stoicism. That's freedom. That's the kind of peace no empire can buy. So when the noise rises, you go quiet. When they shout, you don't move. Not because you're cold, but because you're grounded. You've made a home where no thief can reach, no insult can shake, no loss can enter. And when you walk the world from that stillness, you don't need to prove anything. You are already whole. Epictetus didn't write this. He spoke it to students, to strangers, to anyone brave enough to stop explaining and start changing. These words weren't meant for notes. They were meant for lives, to be carried, lived, and then passed on. So if something in you cracked today, don't patch it up. Let the light in, because Stoicism isn't about strength, it's about stillness, about holding your shape. When the world shifts, you don't need more books, you need more silence, more space between thought and reaction, between fear and your final answer. Epictetus can't walk this for you. But he gave you the map. Now move and never trade what's eternal in you for anything temporary.